The Discipline of Desire. Chapter 1. We agreed not to touch. The café smells faintly of burnt sugar and old wood. It is late afternoon. The light has thinned, become almost metallic, laying a cool sheen across the marble table between us. Her hand rests near mine. Not touching. Never touching. This was a mistake, she says. She does not look at me when she says it. Her eyes remain on the street beyond the window, where a bus exhales and pulls away. Neither of us moves. I nod as if I agree. It seems the safest gesture. Agreement has always been our refuge. If you believed that, I say, you wouldn't have come. Now she turns. The years have altered her, but not erased her. The bones of her face are sharper. There are fine lines at the corners of her eyes that deepen when she is tired. Today they deepen. I came, she says carefully, to end this properly. There is a faint tremor beneath the word properly. I hear it. She knows I hear it. The waiter approaches. We both look up too quickly, grateful for interruption. Coffee? He asks. Black, she says. The same, I say. We sit in the small neutral space of that transaction. Two people ordering ordinary things. Two respectable lives contained within porcelain cups. Only when the waiter leaves does she exhale. I shouldn't have answered your message. It was a single sentence. After 32 years. I had written, "Are you still afraid of me?" I had expected silence. Silence would have been merciful. Instead, she had replied the same night. No, I'm afraid of myself. I study her now. She wears no ring. Not today. You said you weren't afraid anymore. I remind her. I'm not. She folds her gloves with methodical precision. But that doesn't mean I'm safe. The coffee arrives. The scent rises between us, bitter and grounding. She wraps her fingers around the cup. I watch the small pulse at her wrist. We had once believed ourselves capable of discipline. That was the last summer. We were not young even then. Old enough to understand consequence. Young enough to believe we could control it. Why now? She asks. After all this time, I take a moment before answering. Not because I don't know, because I do. I thought I was finished wanting things. The words settle. They are not dramatic. They are simply true. She closes her eyes briefly. A muscle moves along her jaw. That's not a reason, she says. It is at our age. Outside, someone laughs too loudly. A car horn answers. Life continues with its vulgar indifference. She lifts her gaze to mine. Daniel, she says, and my name in her mouth is both recognition and warning. We agreed. Yes. We agreed not to ruin what we had built. Yes. And we built it. We did. I won't let you pretend otherwise. There is heat in her now. Not youthful fire. Something steadier. Harder one. I'm not pretending, I say. I'm remembering. That's the problem. We fall silent. A couple enters the café, shaking rain from their coats though it has not yet begun to rain. They sit too close, knees touching under the small round tables. They speak in quick murmurs, their urgency almost comic. She notices them too. We were never like that, she says. No, we were cautious. We thought caution would save us. And it did, she says sharply. Did it? I do not ask aloud. Instead, I ask, are you happy? She laughs softly without humor. That's a dangerous question. Answer it. She hesitates. Not long. Just enough. I have a life, she says. A good one. That's not what I asked. I know. She lifts the cup to her lips. Her hand is steady now. I was happy, she says at last. For many years. The word rests between us like a third presence. And now, she sets the cup down carefully. Too carefully. Now I'm careful. The admission costs her something. I see it in the tightening of her shoulders. I don't want to dismantle everything for a feeling, she says. It isn't just a feeling. That's exactly what it is. I lean back. The chair creaks under the shift of my weight. Then why are we here? She opens her mouth, closes it. The waiter glances toward us. We must look composed. Civil. Two former colleagues, perhaps. Or distant relatives sharing difficult news. Because, she says quietly, I needed to see whether it was still there. The honesty of it strikes deeper than accusation. And, ask, she meets my eyes fully now. Yes, there is no triumph in me, only a low, spreading ache. Yes, she repeats. It's still there. The air feels thinner. Then why call it a mistake? Because wanting something isn't the same as being allowed to have it. She looks down at her hands again. They are elegant still, capable hands. Hands that have held children, managed homes, signed documents, buried parents. I remember them younger, restless, warm. She senses the direction of my thoughts. Don't, she says. I didn't touch you. You don't have to. Silence again. This one heavier. I glance at the clock above the counter. Does he know you're here? The question is quiet, not cruel. She answers without delay. No. And if he did? Her gaze sharpens. He doesn't need to. That wasn't my question. She leans closer now, the smallest forward motion, and I feel the shift in gravity. If he knew, she says, he would trust me. And would that be accurate? She holds my stare. Yes, it is a brave answer, perhaps a true one. I haven't betrayed him, she adds. Not once. The past trembles at the edge of that claim. We had stopped before the point of no return. Or so we told ourselves. Not in body, I say. Her breath catches. That's unfair. Is it? You left, she says. The words land cleanly. No raised voice. No drama. You decided for both of us. I absorb that. I thought it was mercy. For whom? I have no graceful answer. For a moment, I see the younger version of her, standing in a doorway 32 years ago, waiting, expecting a different choice. You could have said no, I say finally. She smiles, not kindly. You know I couldn't. The cafe grows louder around us, though nothing has changed. We were cowards, she says. No, we were principled. Is that what you call it? What do you call it? She considers. Fear dressed up as virtue. The precision of that cuts. And now, ask, are we braver? Her expression shifts, softens. No, she says. We're tired. The admission surprises us both. Tired of loyalty. Tired of restraint. Tired of being admired for being good. I don't want to destroy anything, I say. I believe you. But I also don't want to die wondering. She looks at me sharply. There it is, the word neither of us had spoken. Die. Late love is dangerous because it comes with a clock you can hear ticking. Don't dramatize, she says. But her voice is quieter now. I'm not. We sit with that. Outside, the light finally shifts toward rain. The sky lowers. She glances at the door. I should go. Yes. But neither of us reaches for our coats. If we leave now, she says, we can pretend this was nostalgia. And if we don't? She does not answer immediately. If we don't, she says, we stop pretending. Her hand moves, only an inch, close enough that I feel the warmth again. The agreement hovers between us. The rule that made this meeting possible. We agreed not to touch. My pulse is louder than the cafe, louder than the street, louder than memory. She looks at my hand, then at me. This is the last time, she whispers. For what? For testing fate. Her fingers brush mine. It is almost nothing, barely a contact, skin against skin for less than a second. And yet the years collapse, the summers, the doorways, the words unsaid. She inhales sharply and pulls back as if burned. No, she says, not to me, to herself. But she doesn't stand. Rain begins against the window, soft, insistent. Across the cafe, the young couple laughs again. Unaware of how fragile joy can be, she stares at her hand as if it has betrayed her. We can't, she says. I know, but I turn my palm upward on the table. An invitation. or a surrender. Her eyes fill, not with tears, but with something more contained, something disciplined and aching. Daniel, she says, and this time my name is not warning. It is plea. Tell me, she asks quietly, if we step across this, if we let this become real, what do we lose? I open my mouth, and for the first time in decades, I realize I do not know the answer. Chapter 2. There is always a moment when you can still leave. The rain had not stopped. We walked out of the café separately. She first. I waited a full minute before following her into the wet street, as if distance might restore proportion. It did not. She stood beneath the awning across the road, searching in her bag for her umbrella. The gesture was unsteady. I saw it now that no one else was watching. You forgot it, I said when I reached her. I didn't forget. She met my eyes. I didn't want to carry it. We both understood the difference. Cars passed. Headlights smeared the wet pavement into ribbons of white and gold. The city felt blurred at the edges, as if we were already stepping outside what was permitted. We should go home, she said. Yes. Neither of us moved. A taxi slowed near the curb, hopeful. She raised her hand halfway, then lowered it. I can't think clearly with you this close, she said. Then step back. You know that's not what I meant. Her hair had grown slightly darker with the rain. A strand clung to her cheek. Instinctively, I reached to move it. She caught my wrist before I could. Not roughly, not tenderly, just firmly. This is how it begins, she said. It began a long time ago. No, she shook her head. It begins when we decide to act. The word act hung between us. Adult, responsible, damning. Across the street, a couple hurried by beneath a shared umbrella. They leaned into one another without thinking. We are not them, she said, following my gaze. I know. We have families, history, people who trust us. Yes. She released my wrist but did not step away. If we do this, she said, it won't be a fantasy. It won't be secret cafes and rain. It will be lies. It will be negotiations. It will be explanations that cut through children and grandchildren and shared bank accounts. Her voice did not break. It steadied. And if we don't? I asked. She looked almost irritated. Then we continue. As we were. Yes. That isn't true. Her expression sharpened. What do you want from me? A declaration? A promise to detonate my life because you're suddenly afraid of dying politely? The words struck harder than she intended. I saw the regret cross her face a second later. That was cruel, she said quietly. It was honest. Rain slipped beneath the awning, dampening the toes of our shoes. I don't want to detonate anything, I said. I want to stop amputating. She frowned. That's dramatic. No, I shook my head. Dramatic would have been running off with you 30 years ago. This is quieter. It's about whether we keep carving out the parts of ourselves that don't fit. You're not carved, she said. You're settled. Are you? The question landed. For a long moment, she did not answer. Her eyes searched my face as if checking for irony. I chose my life, she said. I know. I loved him. The present tense faltered almost invisibly. I believe you, I said. You sound like a judge. I'm not judging you. You're measuring. There was truth in that. A taxi stopped again. This time she opened the door before we could reconsider. She slid into the back seat and left the door open, looking at me. Get in, she said. It felt less like invitation than inevitability. I got in. The driver glanced at us in the mirror. Where to? She hesitated, and in that hesitation lived 1,000 possible futures. My address, she said finally, and gave it. The car pulled away. Inside the taxi, the air was warmer, intimate in an accidental way. Our shoulders nearly touched but did not. The city moved past the windows in wavering light. We can still stop this, she said quietly. Stop what? This drift. I don't feel like I'm drifting. No, she said. You never did. That accusation was old. I let it pass. We rode in silence for several blocks. The driver adjusted the radio volume lower, perhaps sensing something in the air behind him. "Does he know you're unhappy?" I asked. She turned slowly. "I didn't say I was unhappy. You didn't say you weren't." She watched the rain slide down the glass. "He thinks I'm steady," she said. "He's proud of that. He says I'm the one who never wavers." "And do you?" "I have." "When?" She met my eyes fully now. "Every time I think of you." The confession did not sound romantic. It sounded weary. I swallowed. "That isn't my fault." "I know. But it is my responsibility." "No," she shook her head firmly. "Don't take that from me too." "From me too." "What have I taken?" I asked. She held my gaze for several seconds before answering. "The right to decide without you." The words sat heavily between us. 32 years ago I had ended it. Not abruptly, not cruelly, with reasoning, with dignity, with arguments about timing and spouses and careers and children who needed stability. She had stood in my doorway, hands shaking only slightly. "You're choosing safety," she had said. "I'm choosing sanity." For whom? For both of us. I had believed that then. Now, in the taxi's dim interior, I was less certain. "We were married," I said quietly. "Yes." "We had vows." "Yes." "And children." "Yes." "And reputations that mattered." She nodded. "All of that is still true," she said. "Only now the children are grown, and reputations are habits rather than necessities." "And the vows?" She flinched at that. "The vows remain." "But the marriage?" Her jaw tightened. "You want me to say something unforgivable." "I want you to say something true." She leaned back against the seat. "Truth changes," she said after a moment. "At 25, truth is urgency. At 50, it is endurance. At 70, she paused. "We're not 70, I said gently. "No, but we can see it." The driver slowed for a red light. The glow filled the car like a wound. "I don't want an affair," she said suddenly. The word sounded foreign in her mouth. "Clinical." "I don't want stolen afternoons and coded messages. I don't want to lie about where I've been. I won't fracture my life into compartments." "I don't either." "Then what is this?" I considered that carefully. "This is unfinished," I said. "That's not a plan. It's not meant to be." The light turned green. The car moved. We were approaching her street now. Tree-lined, quiet, respectable. She looked out the window, and for a moment she seemed almost young. Not in face, but in uncertainty. "If I ask you to walk away again," she said softly, "will you?" The question stripped everything decorative from the moment. "Yes," I said. The answer surprised her. I could see it. "So easily?" "It won't be easy." "Then why?" "Because I don't want you choosing me out of momentum." She studied me. "And if I choose you deliberately?" My pulse tightened. "Then I won't run." The taxi slowed to a stop in front of her house. Warm light glowed behind the curtains. A silhouette moved inside. Her husband. She stared at the light as if it were a boundary line painted across the pavement. The driver cleared his throat gently. "We're here." She reached for her bag, then stopped. "Don't get out," she said. "I wasn't planning to." "That's not what I mean." I understood. She didn't want a farewell on the sidewalk. Didn't want the door of the taxi to open on this moment and let the ordinary world swallow it whole. She placed her hand on the seat between us. Palm down. Open. A small, deliberate act. I looked at it. We had already broken the rule once. A brush. An accident we could disguise as reflex. This would not be that. "Tell me," she said quietly, eyes still on the house. "If I go inside now and nothing changes, if we let this dissolve into memory again, will you be able to live with that?" The house door opened. A man stepped onto the porch, peering out into the rain. Concerned. He loved her. That much was visible even from here. I looked at her hand, then at the man on the porch, then back at her. "Yes," I said. She turned toward me slowly. And this time, when her fingers curled slightly, as if waiting for mine, I did not move. Chapter 3. The hardest choice is not between right and wrong. It is between two kinds of loyalty. She left the taxi without touching me. The door shut softly. No slam, no scene. Just the quiet thud of a life resuming its proper shape. I watched her cross the short path to the porch. The man waiting there, taller than I remembered, stepped forward immediately. He held the door open wider. He reached for her coat. Not suspicious, not cold, attentive. She said something I could not hear. He touched her elbow lightly. Familiar, practiced. She did not look back. The door closed. "Where to?" the driver asked. Took me a moment to understand he was speaking to me. "Straight," I said. He pulled away from the curb. The house receded in the mirror. The warm light dimmed, then vanished behind rain. I did not go home immediately. Home implied explanation. Even silence can require explanation. Instead, I asked the driver to stop 3 blocks away from my apartment. I paid, stepped out, let the rain settle into my coat. The night had deepened. Windows glowed along the street like held breaths. I walked without hurry, not wandering, just delaying. I had said yes. Yes, I could live with letting it dissolve again. The answer had been honest and devastating, because living is not the same as being intact. At my building door, I paused. My reflection looked back from the dark glass, lined, composed, almost severe. A reliable man. That is what I had become. Reliable men are trusted with mortgages, with grandchildren, with estate plans. They are not trusted with storms. Inside, the hallway smelled faintly of polish and something overcooked from a neighbor's kitchen. The elevator took its time. When I stepped into my apartment, the silence was immediate and complete. No one was waiting. The lamp by the chair was still on from the morning. I had left it that way out of habit, though I live alone. I removed my coat slowly, hung it carefully, as if the order of small actions might prevent disorder in larger ones. My phone lay on the kitchen counter. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I turned it face down. Across the city, she was likely sitting at her own table, removing wet shoes, accepting a glass of wine. "Long day?" he would ask. "Yes," she might answer. And it would not be a lie. I imagined her husband's face. I had met him only twice years ago at public events. Courteous man, intelligent, quiet, the sort of man who believes steadiness is love. And perhaps he is right. I poured myself a glass of water I did not want. Sat in the chair by the window. Rain traced slow paths down the glass. The room felt larger than usual, or I felt smaller in it. We had not chosen each other, but we had not erased each other either. There is a cruelty in that. At 9:43, the phone vibrated against the counter. I did not move. At 9:44, it vibrated again. I closed my eyes briefly, then stood. Her name lit the screen. No message, just her name. I answered. For a second, neither of us spoke. I could hear faint sounds on her end. The low murmur of a television. The clink of glass. "I'm upstairs," she said quietly. The privacy in her voice sharpened the moment. "Is he there?" I asked. "In the study." A pause. "I shouldn't have called," she added. "You're still calling." "Yes." Silence again. Charged. "What happened?" I asked. "Nothing." That word. So full. "He was kind," she said. "He noticed I was wet. He brought me a towel." The image pierced me more than anger would have. "I almost told him," she said. My breath stilled. "Told him what?" "That I met you." "Why?" "I don't know." Her voice thinned slightly. "Maybe because lying by omission still feels like lying." "You didn't tell him." "No. And you won't." "You sound certain." "I know you." A very soft sound, almost a laugh. "Do you?" she asked. "Yes." "Then tell me," she said. And now there was a tremor beneath her composure. "Why am I shaking?" I stood by the window, pressed my forehead briefly to the cool glass. "Because this isn't nostalgia," I said. "No. And it isn't finished." "No." She exhaled slowly. I looked at him across the table. she said. And I felt, outside my own life, the confession hung fragile between us. That doesn't mean you don't love him, I said. I know. But it means something. Yes. We let that settle. I wanted you to take my hand, she said suddenly. In the quiet of my apartment, the admission felt almost physical. I know. Why didn't you? Because if I had, there would have been no returning to equilibrium. Because once you confirm a desire, you owe it a future. Because I was afraid of being chosen. I thought you needed the option to walk away, I said. She was quiet for a long time. Do you know what that felt like? She asked finally. Tell me. It felt, she said slowly, like you were protecting me from yourself again. The words landed cleanly. Perhaps I was. I don't trust my own restraint, I said. Her breath caught slightly. That's the first honest thing you've said tonight. I almost smiled. Then here's another, I said. If you had taken my hand, I would not have stopped. Silence. Longer this time. Daniel, she whispered. Yes. If we do this. She did not finish. We can't do it halfway, I said. No. And we can't do it secretly. Her voice sharpened. Are you suggesting we confess? I'm suggesting we don't build something on deceit. That's naive. Maybe. You think we can dismantle two lives cleanly? She asked. With dignity? With applause? No. Then what are you proposing? I searched for something solid. I'm proposing we decide whether this is love, I said. And if it is, then we face what comes. And if it isn't, then we stop before we destroy anything. She let out a long breath. You make it sound surgical. It won't be. No. On her end, I heard a door close softly. Footsteps. Then quiet. I have to go downstairs, she said. Now? Yes. Why? Because he's waiting. Waiting. Such an ordinary word. Will you call me tomorrow? She asked. Yes. A pause. Don't disappear, she said. I closed my eyes. I won't. She did not say goodbye. The line went dead. I stood in the dim apartment long after the call ended. The rain had stopped. Somewhere in the building, a pipe clanged gently. We had crossed no visible boundary tonight. No confession. No kiss. No irrevocable act. And yet everything had shifted. She had admitted the tremor. I had admitted the danger. We were no longer pretending it was memory alone.